I am pleased to announce the publication of my audiobook, Obsessive Fear as Unconscious Desire. Obsessive fears are unconscious desires. The woman who is obsessively afraid that her phone is tapped actually wants her phone to be tapped. That is, she wants someone to pay attention to her. A neurotic fear of such and such is actually an unconscious desire for such and such, this being the topic of this brutally honest exchange. Please enjoy the following promotional excerpt from the audiobook itself, available at audible.com.
Professor, is there such a thing as irrational anxiety?
No, there is not. There is such a thing as displaced anxiety, but all anxiety is justified.
Please explain.
Oftentimes, there is something that a person is deeply anxious about, but he does not want to admit what that thing is. When that happens, he displaces his anxiety about that thing onto some other thing. This second thing is relatively innocuous. It is not something that warrants the level of anxiety he's experiencing. And this is the very reason that he chooses to displace his anxiety onto this thing. Given that his anxiety is out of proportion to this second thing, it seems to be irrational. But it is not irrational, since it is the first thing, not the second, that is the real object of his anxiety.
I think I know what you were talking about. I found reason to believe that my boyfriend was cheating on me. I really did not want to believe this, because my relationship with him was very, very valuable to me. I then started having the most intense obsessions. For a little while, I was obsessed with the idea that my accountant was ripping me off. Then I became fixated on the idea that I was going to die of a brain tumor caused by cell phone use, even though I don't use my cell phone all that often. Then I became obsessed with my diet. I became convinced that the produce I was eating was loaded with pesticides, which were causing nerve damage. And then it was some other thing that I became obsessed about. And then a few days later, yet another thing.
Were there any persistent obsessions?
Yes.